So I saw Die My Love and I have a lot of thoughts. So I've brought you out to the woods so we can talk about it because I felt like the only fitting location because my girl Grace, all she wanted was to frolic in the woods. And me too. I very much relate to that. So I thought that this was a great location. It's kind of dark and spooky though, and there is no one else here. But I sent my location to two different people, so we should be fine, right? Okay, moving on. Let's talk about this movie. This movie really made me feel so many emotions. Like I was happy, I was sad. One moment I would be crying, and then the next moment I would be laughing. It was just so heartfelt yet heart-wrenching at the same time. It really is a movie of juxtapositions, which is kind of fun and definitely makes sense for this type of movie because this is a movie about someone unraveling. So I think that makes a lot of sense. It is a dark comedy too, so there is a lot of humor in it, and I think the humor does a great job of kind of breaking up some of the like really heavy scenes in the movie, and it can be really funny. I honestly was surprised with how funny a lot of these scenes were. Like I would be going through it and I'd be like, huh, wait, that's funny, which was amazing. I'm like freaking myself out. This movie definitely has mixed reviews because I had to look at the reviews as soon as I got it. I watched it 2 days ago and I've been thinking about it ever since. But I had to look at the reviews right after and I was surprised. A lot of people did not like this movie. But the more I thought about it, the more I was like, okay, you know what? That's very understandable. It doesn't really have a plot, like no set plot at least. Okay, like it very much is unraveling and you have a very unreliable narrator. So some things probably didn't even happen or they happened within her head. So it can be it's definitely a little abstract and they prioritize artsiness sometimes, which I like. I'm all about that. You know what? If you want to just get a really, really beautiful shot because it looks really beautiful, I say to do it. I'm totally okay with that. But I do think that it is a really beautiful and heart-wrenching film that talks about postpartum isolation, self-acceptance. And one thing that I thought of immediately after I watched this movie was it reminded me of Sylvia Plath a little bit, specifically after she gave birth to her children. So the first poem I included is actually a poem it's the first poem included in her book Ariel, which is a collection of poems. I think that it really connects with this movie, and that's why I wanted to include it. The poem itself talks about the conflicting emotions of motherhood, how it is deeply disorienting, but also sublime and rewarding at the same time, how she feels this deep-seated devotion to her child, but she also has this detachment feeling that she's trying to kind of explore within the poem, how the baby's arrival kind of overshadows anything else. Like she kind of feels resided to being like the wall of a museum. The baby is like the new shiny statue and she is there, but she's not really a part of it per se. She doesn't really feel a part of it. She also compares motherhood to being a cloud, how it has cursed her to a life in the sky, and that she slowly realizes that she may have no identity at all. It's a really beautiful poem that it has this question of detachment and identity, but I think it has an overall optimistic ending. And I think that's a lot like how this film begins, and a lot of people think it has an optimistic ending too. I'll talk about that when we get there, but I just think that this poem is a good companion piece for this movie, and that's why I wanted to start out like that. But now let's just dive into a little plot breakdown so you know what I'm talking about a little bit. Hey Jackson, just so you know, this is what a cat looks like. Yeah, that fluffy thing that you brought home, that was not a cat. This is what you needed. This would have solved so many problems. Cat. Okay, we have moved locations because I got scared. It went dark so quickly. Like when I got there, it was dusk. Yeah, I would say it was like dusk. And then within like 10 minutes, it was pitch black outside. And I was like talking and yapping, and then I like looked around and I was like, oh, I'm in danger. I should not be here. This is not a safe place for me to be. So I packed my little booty up and we are now back. So sorry. The vibe isn't as cool here, but we have a cat, which is very prevalent to the plot. So it's okay. And she's a cute patootie. Look at her. I don't want to just do, I don't really want to get into everything that happens with this review because I've only seen it once and I can't watch it at home yet. So I feel like I can't do like an accurate, like super in-depth plot breakdown yet. So I am just going to briefly explain a little bit more about the plot, and then we're just going to talk about the things that I liked about this. I just wanted this to be very fun. Like, we're just two friends and I want to mansplain this movie to you. So we follow Grace and Jackson. They have moved to this little farmhouse in Montana. It is owned by Jackson's family. We find out early on that his uncle died in this house, but we don't learn until later how that happened. Oh, by the way, spoilers. Obviously, I cannot talk about this movie without spoiling stuff. We do find out later that the uncle killed himself, but he shot himself up the butt, which I don't know why that was important. It is like kind of a hilarious scene. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I've never seen a scene discussing someone's suicide handled that way. It's such a weird scene, but I feel like the dialogue is so engaging and well written, and Jennifer Lawrence is just incredible. Same with Sissy Spacek. Sissy's amazing as Pam. Like, this interaction is probably like one of my favorites. Honestly, most of their interactions are really good. Robert Pattinson is amazing as well, obviously, but I feel like Jennifer and Sissy are like my two standouts. I really like when their two characters interact with one another. So yeah, we find out later that that's how the uncle died. So of course that's another thing that Grace is just like, oh, perfect. I love that about this house that you've moved us to. It's in the middle of nowhere and your uncle shot himself up the butt here. Thank you so much, Jackson. Thank you so much. I love that. So they're in this secluded house. Grace is about to have a baby, but it seems exciting at first, like they have this crazy sexual tension. They're turning up the music. They're having crazy, wild, animalistic sex on the floor. Like, this is a young couple. This is a young couple that is in love. They are feeling each other. You understand very quickly why she's pregnant. You're like, okay, work, understood. But then we kind of go forward. She has the baby. We start to see Grace's disorientation begin. She is feeling very isolated. She is experiencing postpartum depression. She is desperately craving the attention of Jackson, but he is just not giving it to her. And she's alone. Like, I cannot emphasize enough that she is very secluded. This cabin, this house, first of all, this house is also run down. I forgot to mention that. Like, it is run down, looks like shit. It's in the middle of nowhere. The only person she really has is Pam, who is Jackson's mother. And that's really hard to deal with for anybody, but let alone somebody that just had a baby. That's insane. So she is feeling very isolated. She's really craving the attention of Jackson. She doesn't have anybody. Jackson is barely around. He's working a lot. And he also has zero sex drive, which you can tell is slowly killing Grace. Like, she is trying her best. She is so sexually frustrated. There's a lot of scenes that showcase her just animalistic. Like, she is hungry. This girl needs to be fed. This man apparently has never heard the phrase happy wife, happy life. Like, what are we doing here? Somebody please. Come on, this woman just had your baby. She deserves a little action. So she's dealing with all of those emotions. But something I do really like about this movie is it shows a different side of postpartum that I feel like I haven't seen as much in movies, where we don't really see her feeling detached from her baby. Through the entire thing, she is a great mother. Like she is, well, okay, there is one questionable scene where she does lay a knife right next to her baby, but it's because she's trying to get some action, okay? And like I kind of get her. But other than that, she's a great mom. She loves her child so much. Even when she is talking to the therapist later on, she blatantly says like, no, I love my baby, like that's not my problem at all. And you can tell that, like she shows that throughout the film. It was nice that they emphasize that point. Grace is struggling mentally, but she still feels these strong maternal feelings towards her child. The rest of the movie is really just her unraveling, Jackson kind of understanding, not really. He finally kind of understands a little bit. Basically, the whole movie is him just not being able to match her freak. Like, he just can't do it until he kind of does. There's one point where, like, he does start crawling around in the grass with her and he does propose to her, which I actually liked that because they didn't tell us right away that they weren't married. Like, I had no idea. I think I just, like, assumed, right? But then that happens. And at first, you're kind of like, wait, is this a flashback? But then you like see that her fingers are still fucked up and you're like, oh, wait, this is the present. So I thought that that was really exciting because it kind of makes you think. That's something about this movie is it isn't chronological. So you do sometimes have flashbacks in and out. I saw a lot of people didn't like that, but I liked it because she's mentally unraveling. She's an unreliable narrator. That's like the whole point. We're not supposed to fully believe her. Oh, also, I gotta mention the motorcycle guy. So I do kind of have some issues with the motorcycle guy because why is the only black character this probably fictional motorcycle guy that's just kind of used as her sexual awakening? I don't really love that. I did read that apparently in the book it is like a faceless. The character isn't like realized in any way, so it was probably just like blind casting. Like I doubt that that was necessarily intentional, but it's still not the best look. I mean, Lakeith Stanfield is the best look. Goodness gracious. Fine. So fine. When he took that helmet off, Grace, I get it. Grace, I do get it. that, yeah, that definitely is questionable. But this motorcycle guy is I'm like 99% convinced not real in any way. It's very much just a figment of Grace's imagination. She's so horny, she's creating these fake motorcycle men in her mind. Girl, we've all been there. That's okay. Understandable. And he pops up every now and again, she kind of releases some tension in her mind. I'm convinced. Where else was I? See, the plot's like all over the place, so it's kind of hard to like set where we are. Jackson does eventually propose by crawling around. They have a little animalistic moment. That's great. We then get to the wedding. The wedding scene. Oh my God, the wedding scene looks so good. I love all of it. There's dancing, Grace, of course. My little wild girl gets a little crazy. She is just trying to find someone to match her free. Come on, let her crawl on the ground if she wants to crawl on the ground. What the fuck, dude? The wedding starts out really nice and they're having like some good moments. But then, of course, Grace gets a little wild. Jackson gets upset. He's like embarrassed by her. And so she goes up to the room and she's just like waiting for him. She's hoping he comes. He never ends up showing up to their hotel suite. And Grace ends up calling the like front desk guy to come up. He plays guitar. Oh my gosh. Honestly, that one, I don't know if that one was real or not. I think that one might have been real. I don't know. Hard to tell. But then in the morning, Grace just grabs her baby and she just like walks away. She's so frustrated. She can't. Like she's done. And then she just walks away. Eventually, Jackson does find her. And they kind of have a moment. This is the point where he kind of is trying to understand, but I don't think fully understanding. So he does have her committed, which we go through that. She kind of opens up a little bit, but we honestly don't get too much of her in the hospital. There is a scene in the hospital that does kind of confirm our suspicions that what she is seeing might not actually be real, because she does have a conversation with a character that has already died, and we're like, oh, okay, yeah, so she's definitely seeing things. That's okay though, that's fine. We love an unreliable narrator. So fast forward, she gets out, and it kind of appears like everything's gonna be normal, right? Like we're under, I think both, like we and Grace and Jackson, I think everyone is under this illusion that like, okay, everything's just magically better now, right? It's all fine. It's all fine and dandy. Jackson has like fixed up the house, and everyone is just acting normal, right? Everyone just expects Grace to just be okay. And even Grace, I think, is expecting herself and like trying her best to just be okay. She makes a cake, which has been a big thing throughout the whole thing. She had a lot of guilt about not being the kind of mom that bakes a cake, so she has baked a cake, so that's kind of a big moment. The cake does just say "Mommy's home," which I think is fucking hilarious. Unfortunately, this party, there's no difference. Nothing has really changed. Nobody sees her still. She feels this pretty much immediately. And you can just see that like that little glimmer of hope that she had is extinguished once again, and she realizes like, I can't be this. I'm never going to be this person that they all want me to be. I'm never going to feel unalone in this place with these people. And there is a moment before the end where Jackson and Grace share a very sweet like moment in the car where they're talking and singing, and you could just really tell that they are a couple that is very in love. But it definitely feels like a goodbye. Like that's kind of how I read that scene. And then in the end, Grace walks into the woods naked, of course, because that's another big through line, is Grace being naked and being unafraid to show off her body and just do anything to try to be seen. I saw conflicting reviews about the nudity in this movie, specifically like it's just Jennifer Lawrence pretty much. I saw a lot of people saying like it's too much, like it was unnecessary, and I 100% disagree. As a woman, it was really refreshing to see like an actual woman's body on the screen, and the only thing I kept thinking this whole movie is Jennifer Lawrence looks so freaking beautiful in this movie. Like every scene was just, she looks stunning. And then finding out after that she was 4 months pregnant while filming this whole thing, just wow. Like she truly just looks so stunning, and I think that it really did add to the movie. And anybody that had a problem with it are probably the type of people that contribute to this type of isolation that Grace is feeling. Let her be seen. If she wants to have her ass and titties out, let her have her ass and titties out. Come on now. So the final scene, she is ass and titties out, no shoes, running into the forest. And you also do finally get a glimpse at something that she has written. That's another thing. There's just so much. There's so much that happens in this plot. I wasn't supposed to explain the plot this much, but whatever. A big theme is her experiencing intense writing block. That's another reason she does feel so isolated, so frustrated, is she just can't write. She has not been able to write during this whole time. A big thing for them moving out to the middle of nowhere was that she was going to be able to write, but she just hasn't been able to do that. And nobody understands why. Jackson just keeps saying like, oh, why don't you write? You're supposed to be writing. Why don't you write? But he doesn't understand, like, she just can't. Like when you are doing something creative like that and you just don't have it in you, you can't just say, oh, I'm gonna do it. It doesn't happen. That's not how it works. So we do get to see like some of her writing, and then it catches fire, and then the forest catches fire, and then we just see her walking into it. And then there's also a moment of Jackson also seeing the fire and like seeing her and just like reaching out for her essentially. And I've seen different takes on the ending. We'll save my discussion of the ending for the end of this video. I think that makes the most sense. So that's the little bit of the plot breakdown. So let's talk about all of the things that I liked about this movie. All right, let's start with the cinematography. First of all, the 4:3 aspect ratio. Can we get some snaps for that? Oh my gosh. The way that it made me feel so boxed in was so freaking perfect. And I watched this at this little bitty cinema that has, I think, like maybe 20 seats. Probably not even that, maybe like 15, 20 seats. Like, it's a very small cinema already. And then you have me shoved into this 4:3. Oh my gosh. So perfect. I feel like some people might absolutely hate that, but I liked it. I was in. And it looked so good. There were so many shots that I just was obsessed with. The one shot at the beginning where it's just in the kitchen, it's them entering and walking around for a little bit, exploring their new house. I liked that because then there's also a similar scene in the ending when the house is like redone. All of the scenes at night looked so good. That's what night needs to look like all the time. Wow. It just looked great. That's kind of what I was trying to replicate tonight with my filming. However, I do not have good lighting, good camera, a team, so I was not able to accomplish that, which is why it didn't work. But that was my goal. Just know this is what I wanted. I don't know how to create that, unfortunately. Also, the whole thing was shot on 35mm, so it just has that like yummy look to it. Tasty. The woods, the forest, the fields, it all feels very real, very animalistic. I just love it. This movie looked great. Does that add to my entertainment? Absolutely. And I will admit it. That's okay. Next, color grading. It's such Twilight color grading. And I love it. I do, however, feel like that color grading will specifically have people expecting to see Edward and Katniss interacting, and that's not what you're getting. I mean, maybe Katniss a little bit. I can see Katniss going a little Grace. I can see that. But Edward didn't have enough personality to be Jackson. I'm so sorry. Like, Jackson actually had like a personality, so I can't see that. But the Twilight color grading is great. The sound design is so good. Not just the music. There was some great music though. You have some David Bowie, there's some Joy Division, we love that. But just the sounds and the use of silence. Talked about this before. I'm a sucker for a silent scene. Like, I like when you just hear just what people are interacting with. I love hearing forest sounds, which we got to get a lot of that. Even just like human noises, grunting, like breathing. Like, I don't mind to hear stuff like that, especially when I'm watching like a very human story. Now let's get more into themes and what I liked in that regard. So we can start with postpartum and motherhood. I talk a little bit about this at the beginning with the poem I referenced, but to get a little bit more into it, I just liked how it really showed some of the quieter moments of dealing with a newborn, some of the louder moments of dealing with a newborn. They do cry a lot, they wake you up in the middle of the night, but also the internal struggle of losing yourself. Having a child is a crazy experience. As a woman, it's definitely something I think about, and I'm always torn about whether or not I feel drawn to it or if I'm afraid of it. It's like, it's such an incredible thing that humans are able to do. Like, you can create a whole life. That's crazy. That's so cool. But there is also that fear of potentially losing yourself and giving everything to this child. But there is also a joy in doing that too. So this film, I think, does a great job exploring that. To be honest though, we don't really see too many scenes of her just taking care of the newborn, because it's established pretty early on, and like, we just know as an audience, like, yes, she cares for her baby, like, she's doing all that she needs to do to take care of her baby. That's nothing that we need to be like worried about. Essentially shows more of her losing her own autonomy, her dealing with this isolation, her dealing with this depression. She does not have any ability to create or do the thing that she loves. She doesn't have anything that is feeding her passion, feeding her future. She's like living in a frozen state of being. There's no forward, there's no backward. She is just stagnant. There is one scene where she is attempting to paint and like do something to express herself, but immediately her breast milk starts leaking onto the page. And I think that just paints a good image of what the film is trying to show us in that moment. We also see her dealing a lot with not being able to accept herself. She just never really feels like she is enough. There is a scene at the beginning where she is upset that she didn't make a cake. She says like a good mother would have made a cake. She didn't feel accepted at the party, which is kind of why she like lashes out. She really does say how she's feeling, but nobody actually sees her. That's a big thing, is she'll straight up say like how she's feeling, and nobody is like fully hearing her or seeing her for what she's trying to say, which does lead her to stripping and jumping into a pool in her underwear in front of children, which that's not good. Like maybe we shouldn't do that. Yeah, maybe we shouldn't do that. That is a way to get attention. It does kind of work. Jackson is more disappointed and embarrassed, but you know, it does something, I guess. This just keeps on happening. She constantly feels less than. She's trying to be seen, and it just keeps on failing. Even after she goes to rehab, she comes back, she tries to do all the things. She bakes the cake, she's being that good wife. And I also think that she's kind of grappling with Jackson fixing the house, taking care of the baby, doing all of this without her. So I feel like part of her is just kind of like, well, see, you didn't even need me. Like, you did all of this without me. In his head, he's thinking that he's doing all of this for her, but I don't know if that's necessarily how she read that situation. Yeah, unfortunately, Jackson, despite, trying, you can see that he is trying a little bit, but he just really doesn't do a good job of helping her and making her feel less alone in all of this. There's a few things that he does throughout that even add to this. Actually, I didn't even talk about this in the plot. I forgot. But there is a whole thing where Grace wants a cat because she probably likes cats, and they also have little rodents to deal with, and cats are great for that. But instead, Jackson gets a dog, and not just a dog, an annoying ass little puppy. Oh, and does the movie make you hate this puppy? I have never been like okay with an animal dying. Like, I think I cry at every animal dying in a movie. But this time, I was like, oh my God, am I just like heartless now? Like, what the fuck? But it's because of the way they framed it. They did such a good job. They had the barks constantly going. Like, you really felt boxed in, stuck in the house with this little dog, just like Grace does. And trigger warning, she does end up killing the dog. Horrifying, I know, truly horrific. I do not condone that in any way, but it is crazy how they are able to make that dog so annoying. Oh my gosh. All she wanted was a cat, bro. All you had to do was get a cat. We could have avoided all of this. There are a lot of moments too where he has such an immense amount of patience for her. Like in the car scene when they hit the horse, you can tell like he's angry, but he also is like just trying to like be there for her and trying to understand. And he has like I think he does show a lot of patience in that scene. Also, the acting in that scene, oh, so good. They're both just so good. They just gave it their all. And then there's the scene where she runs to the window and he just, he's concerned for her. There is the scene where he does try to match her freak, and, he proposes to her by crawling around. So he's trying, but I think in the end he realizes that he just needs to let her be free, and that's kind of what he needed to do the whole time. The other theme that I think is explored, isolation. She is basically a trapped animal, right? She's an animal in a cage. And there is also a quote. He's like asking, "Where are you?" And she's like, "I'm here. You just can't see me." She really just feels so isolated when she's at these parties, when she's talking to people. Nobody really sees her for who she is. There's a scene of her at the grocery store, which honestly is kind of funny. But as a service worker that has the most annoying customer service voice, like I become a different person. I'm just like, "Hello, thank you so much for coming in. Can I get you anything else?" I don't know what it is. It's a coping mechanism. Okay, I disassociate when I'm at work. As someone that does that, Grace is my nightmare person, like somebody that's being real and just wants me to be real. I can't do that at work. I can't be a real person at work. It's not my fault, okay? She does like call out this cashier and it's just like, "Leave me the fuck alone. Don't talk to me. Why are you talking to me?" And it's kind of funny, but it is my nightmare as a customer service worker. Nobody do that to me, please. I will cry. And then there is also like her physical isolation, being out in the middle of nowhere and just not having anyone to associate with, and then feeling isolated from Jackson as well. Because even when he's there, he's not really there. Self-acceptance is another thing. Like she just cannot accept herself for who she is. She can't accept herself enough to write. She has just immense art block. Quote I really like from the movie about specifically her art block is, "I'm stuck between wanting to do something and not wanting to do anything at all." Because I've really felt that myself with my creative stuff. There are so many days where I want to create something, but I also like I don't want to do anything. Like I just can't do anything. Yeah, it's not like a want, it's like I just physically can't. And that's something that Grace tries to communicate through the whole movie, and nobody really understands why. She just can't. There's definitely so much more to this, and I would love to hear what anyone has to say down below about this, because I've only seen it once so far. I feel like I had a lot to say considering I've only seen this movie one time. So I can't wait to watch it again and like really get to think about it and dissect it. Also, it'll be nice to see it when I don't have a man falling asleep and coughing during the whole movie. Like he was either coughing or like full on snoring. I'm snoring. Go home. You don't have to be here. It was kind of funny. I don't really care. I thought it was funny. It reminded me a lot like of my aunt, because anytime I go to the movies with my aunt or like a musical, like we could be at fucking Wicked and she will fall asleep. Something with my aunt, she is gonna fall asleep at the theater. It's just always this like, you just hear it next to you. But yeah, I think that this movie is a great example of why two hot people should never have a baby. You can't have two. That is too powerful hot people. It's not a good combo. Absolutely not. Katniss, Edward, no. No. Yeah, this film was truly gut-wrenching, but also so thought-provoking. Nothing happened, but so much happened. I can definitely see why people didn't like it, but I think I liked it. And the more I talk about it, the more I'm like, no, I think I did like it. Yeah. So to end this off, I would like to talk about the ending. So there are a couple ways that I've seen people look at the ending. I've seen much happier interpretations than I initially thought. Because right away I was like, oh, okay, so she kills herself, right? And I feel like that's so morbid. I'll explain why, and I still do think that, but it is nice to look at it through these happier lenses that other people had.
When I was filming the movie, I was pregnant. I saw the fire as kind of like a rebirth and a cleanse, and that the two of them found their way back to each other. After I had my baby, I was like, she kills herself. You?
Interesting, because I was telling you during, I was like, so she's killed herself, and you're like,
And I was like,
no,
no.
not at all. When he paints the house that color, like it felt
That
very,
color.
It's like that is. It's like, look what I did. I got this dog, and
Look how much better my life is
painted
without
the
you.
house yellow. That's
No,
the
it's
yellow.
like Easter egg blue.
Oh, it's blue. It's
A really bizarre shade of blue.
horrifying.
So there are some people that are saying that the fire represents like a cleanse for her and Jackson so that they can move on and like understand each other better. I saw another interpretation that said it's like a literary cleanse, like she is going to be moving on and going to be able to write and that kind of thing. I love that. However, because I initially was thinking that this reminded me a lot of Sylvia Plath, I was like, oh, okay, so this is her setting herself free, right? Like she is cleansing herself of being on this planet. Oh, oh, you're so cute. Listen, unfortunately, I was a Lana Del Rey kid in high school. So, this is just where my brain goes. Shakespeare, Greek tragedies, you know, I've read the texts. So when I see a woman walking naked into a fire, that is how I'm going to interpret it. But I do think that it is kind of a beautiful ending. Either whatever way, whatever the truth is. I don't think that there is a truth. I think that it's meant to be open for interpretation. But either way, there is a cleanse that takes place. And it did remind me a lot of Sylvia Plath's poem Edge, which is what people believe to be her last poem that she ever wrote. That's not really confirmed. There's no way to ever fully know, but this poem specifically talks about the allure of death, how death can be seen as an accomplishment, a relief, kind of an ending. In the poem, the writer's death is likened to being the perfecting of the self, and also that they are fated to die as if in a Greek tragedy. There is also mention of the indifference of the moon, which I think is very applicable to this movie, and how all of the outside forces seem to not understand Grace, and she has yet to feel seen. Until the very end, I think there's a slight moment with her and Jackson, but no one ever truly understands her, and so she feels this sort of indifference. It's a really beautiful poem that makes me feel all kinds of emotions the same way that this movie did, and I just thought it would be the perfect way to end off this video. Thank you so much for watching.